Yeah, here's my suggestion: is not to do that as your primary storage. I think you still want near line storage to be a local hard drive. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions. First of all, your images are big. They're probably, depends on the camera you're using, 12 to 20 megabytes.
Yeah, I shoot everything in RAW.
Yeah, so they're huge images. And if you take, as I do, many thousands of images on every trip, we're talking, probably a terabyte a week or more. In uploading that, it's not the cost. I mean, there is a cost, but it's also the time. And getting it back down is going to take a while. So here's what I suggest. This is kind of like the backup solution. First of all, and I've sent people to this before, my friend Peter Krogh, who's a photographer, wrote a great book called The Digital Asset Management Book that is it's for photographers like you, Don. It's to solve these problems.
I have his books.
Oh, so you know about Peter. He's also, he's created a great website with the Library of Congress called dpbestflow.org. DP standing for digital photography, bestflow.org. And this is something, what you're talking about is something photographers called workflow. It's what happens after I take the picture. Where does the picture go? What do I do with it? Where do I store it? And in my opinion, you want to have a hard drive, either internal or external, for the stuff you're working on right now in Lightroom. Now, Lightroom or Aperture or there are lots of programs that will do this, will keep a reference to an offline file. So you don't have to have all the files you're working offline. You'll still have the thumbnail. You'll know where that photograph is. My suggestion, and most photographers do this, is to have a large external drive, a Drobo, a RAID 5 array. You know what RAID 5 is?
Oh, yes. And there's a problem with RAID 5. If the only controller goes bad, you've lost everything. So it's my
yeah, but you just get a new controller or have a duplicate controller. RAID 5 is the idea is when a disk drives, you pop it out, put in a new one, and you don't lose a bit. And so that is a good suggestion for near term. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you for your offline storage. I think you're right, and I think S3 is a good choice. Here's what I do. I have multiple stages of backups. I keep on my hard drive, if it's big enough, the photographs from the most recent trip, the ones I'm working on. I keep on an external hard drive all my photos. That's many, many terabytes. And you could, if it's a lot, you could put it on a Drobo or a RAID 5 network storage. I actually have a local drive that I keep it on. It's then backed up to a network attached storage in my home. So now I have two copies. One is online, one is nearline, and then the third copy, the offline storage, I do use S3, but I don't use it directly. I use it through a company called SmugMug. Do you know about SmugMug? SmugMug is it's like Flickr for pro photographers. It'll store your photos, allow you to sell them, but you can also upload RAWs, and it will store them to S3 for you. So it's a kind of a perfect solution. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. When you hear wind instruments, it could only be one thing. Scott Wilkinson is here. Big Wind from the West, we call him.
That's right.
He is the editor-in-chief of the Ultimate AV magazine. Wait a minute. Stop. Hold the presses.
Hold those presses.
What happened?
Well, I actually chose that music, which is from the Renaissance Fair. It's the big fanfare when the Queen shows up, usually. But I chose that music today.
Scott, are you trying to tell us something?
No, not at all.
Okay. The Queen has arrived.
In this case, the King has arrived.
Yes.
No, you obviously have really big news. You're moving to a brand new studio. It's going to be really great. And so I wanted to mark that occasion with a nice flourishy fanfare.
Thank you.
But also, I have some pretty big news, which is that the company I work for, Source Interlink Media, which publishes Home Theater Magazine, HomeTheater.com, UltimateAVMag.com, and several other websites, we decided to merge UltimateAVMag.com into HomeTheater.com. So Ultimate AV Mag, like the old Twit Cottage, is sadly no more.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But
Well,
really, it isn't no more because
It's merged.
It's merged.
It has merged into hometheater.com, and my new title is online editor of hometheater.com.
Well, there you go.
So very easy. And I'm going to be spending more time reviewing and writing about real-world products. And this is very important because a lot of people are shopping, as we know. Every week we talk about this. People are shopping for plasmas and LCD TVs and speaker systems and AV receivers and all Blu-ray players, all the stuff that we talk about all the time. And I'm going to now be able to spend more time actually reviewing those products that people are shopping for.
Ultimate AV Magazine, in fact, by its name, I guess I should have known this, really was aimed more at the high end.
Correct.
Is this a statement in some ways that people just aren't interested in high-end audio and video?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, look what happened to the Kuro. We were talking about this last week. Pioneer killed it because it was, in order to make such a good display, they had to make it too expensive.
They had to make it too expensive. That's exactly right. Yes, Echo in the chat room says the $500,000 Panasonic 152 plasma is not a real-world product. Well,
Right.
That's true. And likewise, as you say, the Kuro was just too expensive to be successful. So I'm going to be looking at products that are bestsellers on various retailer outlets like Amazon, Best Buy, Crutchfield, Tiger Direct, and seeing if they are worthy of their bestseller status. You know, if everybody's buying them, are they really that good? I'm going to find out, and I'm going to let you know.
Great.
So I think this is an important move, really. And we're also going to be publishing a lot of articles on how to get the most out of what you buy. So we're going to be focused on what to buy, how to shop, how to think about what you really need in your environment. When you get it home, how to set it up and optimize it so you get the very best out of whatever it is you do buy. And also, we're going to continue to publish articles about how all these different technologies work. So if you're confused about Dolby Digital or Dolby DTS Surround and so on and so forth, then you're going to be able to find that information at hometheater.com.
Good. I don't think that's a bad change at all. I think it actually reflects how people use their stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We decided we needed to spend more of our resources on that. I'll still publish the occasional high-end thing just because it's really fun and cool. And we're also going to continue to republish things out of the magazine that get published.
There's
in the
still a magazine?
There is, believe it or not. There's still a print magazine. We're one of the few left standing.
I have to say, I think that's a dying breed. I mean, there are magazines around, but
There are. We are one of the few home theater magazines left, and we're doing very well in that regard. Because we do provide really excellent information. The magazine is really more for enthusiasts, right? People who are serious enthusiasts. The website is going to also have plenty of enthusiast content, but it's also, and maybe perhaps even primarily, for shoppers, people who, and users. Shoppers and users is how I like to look at it. That people who are shopping for something, they're not going to go to a magazine to shop. Right, to look for what to buy.
I guess that's true, isn't it? I mean, we like reading magazines, but it's more for entertainment. When you're really down to shopping, you do your research on the web these days.
Online, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And plus the fact that magazines, by their nature, all magazines, are the information is relatively old because you've got to deal with print deadlines and you've got to deal with mailing and all that kind of stuff. So magazine comes out 2 or 3 months after the content has been written. And the web, of course, is much more immediate. So that's another reason why shoppers go online and enthusiasts read magazines. So, and of course...
Well, wait a minute. Let me think about that. Shoppers go online. Enthusiasts read magazines. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing. And...
is there a centerfold?
No, there's no. That would be kind of cool. A centerfold of like a super high-end, beautiful piece of gear. I hadn't thought of that.
Nowadays, that's what we dream about. Hey,
So-
Scott also hosts the, as long as we're plugging stuff, the Home Theater Geeks podcast. That's not going to change. In fact, now it's even more aptly named than ever before.
Than ever before. And it is going to change in that I now have a new studio as well.
Oh, nice.
I'm now broadcasting from the studios that I use to review products for hometheater.com because we finally got enough bandwidth. Took a while, but we finally got enough
It's
bandwidth.
all about the bandwidth, isn't it?
It really is all about the bandwidth, and I'm hoping to work with you to get a high-def camera in there so that...
Oh, yeah, we'll get you everything you need.
That'd be
Because we're
fantastic.
using a new technology that called video.
Yes, and in fact, I
Videocast.
tested it.
Yeah.
I tested it last week with Chad, and it worked great.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah, I mean,
we're
it's
not
high def now. So if you have a high def
Yeah.
camera and enough bandwidth, which you will,
I
the quality will be great of that. And although I have to say, I wonder, I have to look at the numbers. How many people watch the Home Theater podcast and how many people listen to it?
Well, that's a
you
very
can
good
listen as
question.
well.
Sure, of course,
And I think for
probably a lot of people.
podcasts, it's like radio. It's you do it in your car. You're not going to be watching.
Exactly. But a lot
And
of
your
people
show
that
is not very visual in the sense that you're talking to people about stuff.
right.
So you could listen to it.
You could. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I intend.
Who's
to
on Monday?
On Monday, I have a fellow by the name of Gene Dolgoff, who was on the show about a year ago, a little more than a year ago. And interestingly, I found him because he called your radio show while I was on the air.
Oh, neat.
And it turns out
Oh, I remember him. Yeah.
he invented LCD projection.
Cool.
So he's very cool. He's a very cool guy. And in fact, he is one of the most requested return guests I've had so far.
Well, here's what you do. You tune in 1:30 tomorrow Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern, live.twit.tv, or you can download the show. Just go to iTunes and listen. Just search for Home Theater Geeks. We have a list of all the ways you can subscribe at our website, twit.tv/HTG. Congratulations, Scott Wilkinson, the new editor. What are you? The
Online editor.
online editor of the Home Theater magazine, hometheater.com. We'll talk again next week, Scott.
You bet. Thanks.
That's a vuvuzela/bagpipe orchestra. If there's any way to make the vuvuzela more annoying, it would be to add a bagpipe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Remember that from the World Cup last year? Well, I think we have two vuvuzelas. We will be probably playing those as we march to the new studio, which will be very effective in getting people out of the way as we go down the sidewalk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. Janet, San Diego. Hi, Janet. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. I have a question about using a phone in another country. I'm about to take a trip to Nepal, and my boyfriend has to be able to keep in touch with work, and we're wondering if you could give us an idea of maybe what type of phone to use, if there's maybe a one-time prepay that would work, and if there's any smartphone options.
Well, I would make one suggestion. Don't take your cordless phone with you.
Okay.
You ever driven off talking on the cordless phone thinking it's a cell phone? And you get 20 feet away and it goes, oh, that's the house phone. So here's the deal, and I'm not sure about Nepal, but maybe I know somebody in the chat room who will know is Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, who's going to join us next hour because he goes to Nepal every year. But let me talk in general about phones. In the U.S., we have two technologies that we use on our cell phones. They're CDMA phones. Verizon and Sprint uses CDMA, and AT&T and T-Mobile use GSM. CDMA basically is North America only, so it certainly won't work in Nepal. So if you have a Verizon or Sprint phone, unless you purchase a specific kind of phone from them that's called a world phone, it won't work anywhere. If you have a GSM phone, that is, and you know it's GSM because you have a little SIM card that's your personality that you could take out of the phone and put in another phone. That isn't even guaranteed to work because the frequencies vary, but is much more likely to work. And you should check and see if it supports the GSM frequencies in the countries that you're going to. So if it does, you could just take your phone with you and use it. Now, of course, it's going to cost a lot of money because you'll be roaming internationally. Data will cost a lot. Phone calls will cost a lot. But it has one advantage. If you're only there briefly, your phone number doesn't change, which puts you in a kind of a weird position because sometimes people call and say, "Hey, Janet, how you doing? I'm thinking of coming over later." And you can say, I'm in Nepal right now. I am not in Sandy. I am in Nepal. And this is costing me $1 a second. So bye. But it's really nice when I travel and I want the kids to be able to reach me in an emergency or whatever. Having that phone is nice. You can call, of course, if you're AT&T or T-Mobile, you can call ahead and say, "I'm going to be traveling. Can you give me an international package?" And they will give you a slightly reduced international package.
What about if we bought a phone in another country or in the country? I don't know much about Nepal.
No,
but
that's your other choice. Is getting what they call a burner phone. Now, you can actually buy a phone here. You can buy any unlocked GSM phone with the right frequencies, so make sure it's a quad-band, unlocked GSM phone. You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them anywhere. And then when you get to Nepal, you go to the post office or the phone company, sometimes the tobacconists and train stations. They also have, you just buy the SIM chip, and that'll have a local Nepalese phone number.
Okay.
You pop that into your phone, and now that phone is a Nepalese phone. Local calls are cheap. Now, of course, calling the U.S. on a Nepalese phone either won't work at all, or if it does, it'll cost you a lot of money. But it's great if you and your boyfriend have two unlocked phones and you put the Nepalese chip in it, you can call each other, and that's a local call.
Well, the most important thing we're looking for is for him to be able to contact work, and I think the email would probably be more important.
And there are lots of internet cafes in Nepal. So that's what most people do is they go to Nepal. They go to an internet cafe.
Okay.
Or bring Skype with you. If you can get an internet cafe, you can go there and you can use Skype. And that's cheap, and you can make long-distance calls. When my daughter lived in France for a couple of years ago, I paid $99 and got unlimited Skype out for her computer. She could call the U.S., she could call her friends' cell phones, and it was free.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll pass the information along. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome, Janet. Thanks for the call. Yeah, somebody's telling me that Nepal uses the 900 megahertz frequencies in Nepal. So that's GSM 900. That means almost any phone you get from anywhere will work. It's the most common band. Any U.S. GSM phone will work. Remember though, unlocked, because if you buy a phone from an AT&T or a T-Mobile, if it says AT&T or T-Mobile on the phone, usually that means you cannot use a foreign SIM card in it. You can only use an AT&T SIM card in an AT&T phone. That's called locked. You can sometimes get it unlocked. In fact, it's not hard to get it unlocked if you bring it to a friendly dealer. But better to get an unlocked phone in the first place, and then you can use any SIM card from any country in it. So enjoy the travels. What fun that is. I guess Chris isn't in the chat room anymore. I'll ask him what he does when he goes to Nepal, because he goes there every year for photo trekking. We'll talk to Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, next hour, as a matter of fact. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our next call, Sonia, Sacramento. Hey, Sonia, Leo Laporte.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
So, well, I woke up and needed to call you as soon as I checked my email and found that somebody has hacked into my email for a second time.
I hate it when that happens. Yahoo Mail?
I've had this email address for 15 years, and it's got my business name in it, but I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know if I need to get rid of the email or if I need some other security, because if I change email, they're going to do it again.
Yahoo Mail? Is it Yahoo Mail?
It's a SBC global address that I've had forever. And
that's not a good sign. Now, the web-based emails tend to get hacked a lot, and I'm not sure why. I suspect what happens. Do you ever go? Is it a laptop?
No, it's a Mac at home, but I do check it from work and other places, and I just got a smartphone 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so you check it on wireless access points?
Just a few times so far.
Okay, so here's one possibility. Unless you tell your email program to use secure sockets, or SSL, when it's connecting, it will send your login and password flying through the airwaves where anybody can capture it. So you should check on your phone when you set it up with SBC. You should check with SBC and say, do you offer SSL email? If they don't, then your email, you'll never fix it, because anytime you get email wirelessly, any bad guy, it doesn't take many skills, by the way, any bad guy with his mediocre skills, a free program they download from the internet, can see your password as it floats by.
Really?
And so they capture it. And the thing is, we never change our email password. So all they have to do is get it once, and they can log in as you, and they can see what your mail is.
But they're picking these random email addresses, some of which I haven't emailed in years.
Oh, wait a minute now. Now, why do you think, I should ask you this, why do you think you've been hacked? Are you getting bounce-back email?
I'll get one weird email that looks like some mailer demon thing, and then a group of people will email me, hey, look, I got this weird email telling me to go to their,
Okay, that doesn't mean you've been hacked.
Something.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have asked you this question.
Shoot.
You're not
I'm
hacked.
sorry.
You're not hacked.
But where are they getting the email addresses, and why is it coming from me?
I'll explain that in a moment, but I have to take a break.
Okay.
Hang on, Sonia. The mystery will be resolved right after this. Leo Laporte, the
Okay.
tech guy. I don't feel like there are any bad spirits in that mix-up. It just feels very happy. Hey, Dad, my dad's here. Hey, Dad. That's my father, John. Okay. Hold on a second. Not yet. I'm on the air. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here. Hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show. 8888 Ask. Leo is the phone number. My dad's here. You've been here before. Not the first time in the Tech Guy Labs, but the first time for the last time, because, of course, this is the last show. We're here for the big move. That's cute. By the way, happy birthday. His birthday's next week. 78 years old. You don't mind if I tell people that. You look like you're 30. He looks better than I do. But it was so cute because he called up and said, if you need help with the move, I can carry some stuff. Nothing too heavy, but I can a magazine or something. I'll help you. That's very sweet. I think we got movers. We got movers, right? Yeah, we got movers. Actually, most of the stuff has moved over. The studio is humming. It is beautiful over there. And I can't wait. Now, you might say, well, Leo, it's nice that you have a beautiful studio and all, but it is a radio show. No one will see it. And that's true, although we do, in fact, this is how the whole thing started, was when I started doing this radio show maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I put up a little webcam on my computer as I was doing the show. A little, it probably was black and white, little webcam. So, who would want to watch a guy talk? People watched it. We made podcasts out of it, and it kind of went from there. It kind of grew like Topsy, to the point where we have 6 million downloads a month of 25 different shows, 18 employees. And frankly, they were kind of rebelling because they were all sitting at one table. It's not for me that I'm doing this. It's not even for you that I'm doing this. It's for them, so that they'd finally have a desk of their own. And they're very happy, by the way. But I think that it was that all sitting at the same table, that was a growth experience. That was no. That was a bonding. No, okay. They say no. Anyway, we'll be moving down in a couple of hours, and Dad will help me. He's going to carry a magazine. And I hope you will watch, because we will be streaming that at live.twit.tv on the internet, Live, live.twit, Twit. That's the name of the podcast network, .tv. Already there are something like 15,000 people watching the stream. So hey guys, you're early. There's nothing to see here. We'll be back. Come back in 2 hours, and we'll be moving down. But that's very exciting. So we have a beautiful new studio, and I have a lot of people to thank too. We got I don't even know where to start. Roger Ambrose, who is a Hollywood big shot set designer. Guy I met on the last TV show I did, the Screensavers. He did a beautiful job. And I said, Roger, could you do, what you did for Tech TV in that Screensaver set, only a lot cheaper? And he said, yes. I don't know if it was a lot cheaper, but it sure looks good. And then Brent By, who was our amazing lighting guy, gaffer is what they call him in the business, another Hollywood gaffer from oceanstudio.com. And Brent has lit this thing. It's like a canvas. Like Roger gave him a beautiful canvas, and then Brent painted in the light on it. And it's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And, of course, my amazing studio team, starting with John Slanina, our studio manager, who's just worked all day and all night for like months. And he's happy. He's smiling. I don't get it. I don't get it. Colin Weir, who's our newest streaming engineer, we brought him in from Philadelphia about a month ago. Chad Johnson, also brand new, brought him in actually, we hired him. We said, we can't hire you till we're in the new studio. It's too crowded here. So why don't you start in April? It hasn't been too bad. Who else? But there's so many people. Burke McQuinn, who's also stayed up late every night with a soldering iron. Liz, of course, Liz Romero, who's one of our producers. Lynn Fu, another one of our producers. My producer for this show and all the shows I do, Eileen Rivera.
Alex doing TriCaster.
Alex Gumpel, who's an amazing TriCaster guy. The TriCaster is the hardware that we use to switch this show. And we're using a little, what I thought was the high-end TriCaster here. It's a little baby compared to what we're going to be using in the new studio. High def, beautiful thing. And Alex has made himself the wizard of this. Of course, Alex also edits the Tech Guy Show for a podcast, and Tony Wang, our editors, Jason Howell, Jeff Stewart. We have some great editors working for us to make the videos that we put out as podcasts, and a lot of great staffers. And of course, my CEO, the business partner, without whom I have no head for business. I'd still be sitting in this little attic with a spy cam on me if it weren't for Lisa Kenselart, my CEO, who really negotiated for the building, ran the project, got it all done. So it all starts in a couple of hours. But I'm not done here. I still have a job to do here, and poor Sonia has been sitting listening to this going, please, can you help me? I'm asking for some help here. Sonia, thank you for your patience. I wanted to mention some people. So you said your email got hacked, and I just want to understand because so here's what I think of as hacked. Somebody figured out what your password is in your email, reading your email. Sometimes they change the password. Most of the time they don't, because what they'd like to do is keep reading your email, and then they can break into other accounts. Let's say I've got your email account. I'm seeing your email, same as you. You don't even know it. Now I can get into your bank account or your Twitter account or anything else by saying, I forgot my password. Would you email me the password? And he has it emailed to you, and he reads it the same as you do. So that's what I think of as hacked, and that can be devastating, especially if they get into your bank account through that or other accounts.
Wow.
But that's, I don't think, necessarily what happened to you. So you're saying you're seeing bounced back emails, or friends are saying, hey, I got an email for you trying to sell me Viagra.
Yeah, that's what's happening,
Yeah.
and it's just
Don't worry.
people, and there are a handful of different people, and some I've talked to daily, and some of them I haven't emailed for 2 or 3 years.
It could be a symptom of your address book being hacked. What often happens is when you get on a spam mailing list. Spammers never give the return address on a piece of spam is never real. It's always somebody else on the mailing list. So it's not unusual, for instance, everybody gets this, I call it internet backscatter, where you'll get returned email or bounce back email or even irate email from people saying, stop sending me this Viagra spam. And it goes to you. You didn't send it. It's just that the bad guy used your email address. But I'm a little worried because you said this is like everybody in your contact list is getting this email?
No, it's a small group of people, and it seems to be varying because it happened last weekend, and then it just happened this weekend. Some are the same people, and some are new people, and it's not everybody.
Does the email in any way refer to you or have any information about you that?
No.
No, it's a piece of spam.
Yeah, it looks like it's from me, and then it says something. It works fantastic. It's a relationship saver. And
Wait a minute, though. It does look like it's from you?
Yeah.
Does it say your name in the email, or just the return address is yours?
The return address.
Okay, but it doesn't say hi. This is Sonia. Let me tell you about my weight loss secret.
No.
Okay.
It's just my address. And we started getting this at work like a year or two ago, where I thought people from work were sending me messages, and I'd open it and it was spam. But they catch it with high-tech software, so I don't.
Yeah, right. They're spam blockers. It's hard for me to tell if you've been hacked or if you're just being spoofed. Spoofing means they're merely using your email address as a return address. Now, anybody can do that. If I could figure out, let me ask you this: your email address, is it like something pretty obvious, like Sonia at sbcglobal.net? Don't say it out loud if that's it. But
Oh.
is it something simple like that, like your first name?
Very simple, because it had my little business in it when I started a little art.
So if your email address is Sonia4372-Q at sbcglobal.net, spammers will never use that. But if there's a poor guy named Jim at AOL.com who can never use his email. He can never use his email because spammers use Jim. They don't even know who Jim is, but it's a great return address. So if your return address is not a little bit obscure, if it's like your name, it could just be they're guessing it. And they don't even go after you. They're just using it. I got to get down to the root of this. Hang on. A little more time. Hold on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, the chat room and I have been consulting about your case, Sonia. You are a very difficult case, Sonia. We had to talk. I had to consult with my peers in the chat room. And the consensus is you've been spoofed, but there's a couple of things you could do. Bill in Michigan suggested you look in your sent mail box. Do you know? And see if those messages originated from you. They'll show up in the sent mailbox.
No, they're not in there.
They're not in there. That's a good sign. So a couple of things could have happened. You know, if you got malware on your system, you know, a virus on your system. In fact, this is one of the first things viruses started doing was they would get your email contact list and start sending itself out. But it would usually send out a virus, not spam. I think it's likely that your address has been spoofed. Now, you changed your password once. It's probably a good idea to keep changing it.
Okay.
You know, every month change it just to be safe. But if all you ever see is mail that looks like, you know, somebody used the problem with email is it's inherently not secure. You can spoof anybody's mail address. So I can send you an email that looks like it came from the president. President at whitehouse.gov. And there's no way, unless you look at the headers, that you could really tell. Did the guy at work, do you have a tech guy at work?
Yeah.
What did he think? Did he look at the headers? Did he have an opinion?
No, I didn't show them.
Well, the same thing happened, though, right?
It did happen like a year ago, so I could ask them.
You might ask them.
Okay.
What you can do if you're pretty technical, you can look at the headers. You know, say somebody who got one of these emails that purports to be from you. You can see what the originating server was, and if it's not SBC Global, if it's not your email server, then all they're doing is putting in the from field your name.
Okay.
Anybody could do that. I could do that.
How do they get the addresses, though?
Huh?
How do they get the addresses, though, that if they use mine, but they're sending it to my friends, they're getting their addresses somehow?
Well, we don't know it's only your friends.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, SBC Global is Yahoo. Yeah, Yahoo Mail this happens a lot to Yahoo Mail. Do you have secret questions if you forget your password?
Oh, gosh, it's been a long time, but I can check.
Yeah. I would change those, because that way if you change your password, they could use your secret questions if they knew your answers. A lot of times when people answer those secret questions, you know, they use stuff that's easily guessable.
Great.
So what I always do is, first of all, it's a good idea not to have an email address like leo@aol.com that would just kind of somebody might randomly use. It's a good idea to have a kind of a obscure email address. Secondarily, it's a good idea to have a very obscure password. Now that just means not a dictionary word. Don't use your cat's name. It's good to mix upper and lowercase letters and numbers and punctuation if you can. I know that makes it harder to remember, but you can use tricks to make it something that you can figure out, like the first letters of a song lyric, for instance. I often use that. Putting in the punctuation and maybe adding then your zip code to the end.
Okay.
Something you can easily kind of recreate, but nobody would ever be able to brute force or guess. And then the final step, if there are secret questions, you look at the password recovery system that your email provider uses. If they allow a person to recover the password simply by answering secret questions, that's not so good. If that's the case, then make sure you don't answer. You know, sometimes the secret question is, what was your high school mascot? Well, don't say your actual high school mascot, because that's, how many different mascots are there? What was your mother's maiden name? That somebody could figure that out. I lie. I say my mother's maiden name was Banana Slug, and my high school mascot is the otter, or something you'll remember. Bubblegum. And they won't guess it then, and then they won't get into your system.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, these are simple things that you can do, and I don't. If it then continues to happen, I presume you have an antivirus and you scan your system and you do all that stuff, right?
I assume so. Dad sets it all up, so.
Dad, get Dad in there. Say, Dad, you got to check to make sure that there's no bad stuff on my system, because that's how this can sometimes happen, but usually it doesn't happen like this.
Okay, yeah, it's a new thing, so.
Yeah, just change your password, change your secret answers, and if your email address were, let's say, I shouldn't say this out loud, but let's say it were Sonia@AOL.com. You don't want to be that, because it's it's the kind of address that a spammer might just type in anyway.
Yeah,
I get spam. I get spam to so many weird accounts on my server. Like, I get every month several thousand messages to Leo's hair at leoville.com. Spammers just make stuff up.
And I can't catch them, huh?
No, they can't. They can't. I wish they could. They can't. It's a little frustrating, isn't it? We wish we could punish these guys, but for the most part, they're overseas. They're in Eastern Europe, the old Soviet bloc, and they're just in so many of these cases, the countries that they are originating from don't even have laws against this. So, yeah, spam's not going to go away. Although people are doing a lot of good work to kill spam. I think it might get better. It's starting to get better. Somebody GoGlobe.com made an infographic on what happens in 60 seconds, every 60 seconds on the internet. One of them is 168 million emails are sent every minute on the internet. What they don't say is how many of those are spam, but we know it's about 80 or 90% spam. So that means, something like 150 million spam messages are sent. I love this. Actually, this graphic is fantastic. 700,000 search queries a minute, 25 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute, 600 plus new videos, 70 plus domains are registered every minute. Firefox gets downloaded 1,700 times every minute. 100 new LinkedIn accounts, 320 new Twitter accounts. Skype, how about this? Every minute, 370,000 minutes of Skype calls are made. 98,000 tweets a minute. That's pretty amazing. There's a lot on the internet. A lot going on. Not all of it good. But there are things you can do to protect yourself. Having a good password is a very important one. And it's okay to lie on the secret questions. When they ask you your mother's maiden name, you don't have to tell them your actual mother's maiden name. You can make up something. Oh, her name was Orion. So just make up something you'll remember. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number, 888-827-5536. About 8 minutes from now, our photo guy. We haven't heard from him in ages. Chris Marquardt, he's back from his world travels. We've got some pictures to look at, and I'm going to ask him what to do if you're going to Nepal and you want to make phone calls. That's coming up in just a little bit. 8888 Ask Leo. Or go to the website. All this stuff is there, plus our live video, our chat room, and more. A lot of people in chat today. Over 1,500 people in chat. The website, techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, and joining us right now, he hasn't been on in ages. I'm so glad to welcome him back. My good buddy, Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, it's all my fault. I've been traveling and
you've been all over the place. Where have you been?
That stuff just keeps me busy. Well, I've been to Nepal, I've been to Berlin, I've been to lots of places, and that just keeps the weekends occupied.
Hey, since you do go to Nepal every year, could you just fill me in for our caller last hour? What do you recommend for a phone?
Oh yeah, I heard that. Nepal has regular GSM service, so you could use any GSM phone that does, I believe, GSM 900, the 900 megahertz frequency.
So she doesn't need to do anything special.
Well, if the phone supports the 900, if it's a world phone, that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. So she could use her existing phone, although it'd be expensive.
Yeah, it would be expensive, and I actually used that on the way up to Mount Everest. Pretty far up, they still have GSM coverage, so that was
that's kind of
amazing,
cool.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yes.
So it's been so long, we have an assignment. I forgot we even made an assignment.
We have an assignment. It's the reduction assignment, and again, I picked 3 pictures to have a quick look at.
So tell us, what was the assignment? Reduction, what does that mean?
Reduction. Well, reduction can be interpreted in so many ways, and if we look at those 3 pictures, the first one by Violin Freak, called, well, I didn't choose that name.
That's his handle.
Love. And that image, he does reduction by just reducing detail in the picture. So he's using very shallow depth of field. He has something in the foreground. It looked like a lot of locks.
This might be that famous bridge in France where lovers put the padlocks on the bridge.
Right. Actually, yeah, you're right.
I think that's what this is. That would be my guess anyway.
So he reduced that detail by simply blurring out the background very shallow, so you can barely make out that one, probably a person in the background there. So that's one way to reduce things, and I like that because it's a very clear way to reduce things. So if you have too much stuff going on in a picture, too much stuff in the background, that is a very good way to do it.
Good. I like that. Violin Freak. That's one way to reduce a picture. What's another way?
The other one is by Lawrence Siu, or Siu, called Across the Universe. And
wow, this is beautiful. I love this.
He made an abstract picture by leaving the shutter open pretty long, probably a second or longer, while moving, or while something was moving past. I guess he was probably moving. So you see lots of lights in the top half. Some maybe I don't even know what that is in the bottom half.
Well, it's an abstract. You don't need to know, right?
Abstract. Yeah. But I can clearly tell there are probably some fluorescent lights up there because you can actually see the flicker of the fluorescent light in the streaks of light up there.
That's
the little thing where it goes brighter and darker and brighter and darker.
Neat. Yeah.
So that's another way to reduce. And last but not least, the third one, and I was expecting more black and white pictures because
that's one way to reduce. Yeah, cut out the color.
For me, that's the first way to reduce because color is such a strong thing in an image. And if you take out the color, if you go black and white, you reduce it by a lot of information, and you basically reduce it to lines, to shapes, to bright and dark, to contrast.
I like to use black and white when there's a strong geometry in the picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here we have a strong geometry. First of all, he or she, Anne Crackcraft, calls that light reduction, which she did. She basically almost plunged half of that guitar into black, and the rest is just a bit of a guitar. You see some strings that make very strong lines. You see the circular shape of that hole and a bit of the shape of the guitar itself, but it's enough to really give you a full picture. You see a guitar, even though you just see like half of a guitar or maybe a portion of a guitar. So that is a very good way to reduce.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Chris, do you want to do another assignment?
Absolutely. I'll be back next week, even though we won't do the assignment within 1 week. I'm kind of digging myself back out of that hole, so I'll be there next week. I'll be in California in August. So
you got to come by. And
Absolutely.
you said, we can't do a photo day. Of course we could do a photo day. We'll figure it out. We'll do a photo morning or an afternoon. We'll figure it out.
Anything, or if I just get to sit in and look at the studio because it's so awesome, and I'm actually I feel very special because first, you remember a couple of years ago I got to break your TriCaster.
Yes.
And now I'll get to do the very last.
You better not
Skype.
break the TriCaster in the new studio.
No, but let me break Skype for you because I guess this is actually the very last Skype call in the old cottage,
I think it might be the last Skype call we ever make because we're changing from Skype to a new technology called video, VIDYO, that's fantastic. And I'll tell you what, If you take one look, if you're watching the video of Chris Marquardt, I know on the radio you can't tell, but on the video you look terrible. We will be glad to leave this blurry image behind, I can tell you.
Yep.
You sound great, though. That's the neat thing about Skype. The audio has always been good on Skype, and that's why I use it, because I'm an audio guy. It's a radio show. If you want to know more about Chris, I'll tell you what. He is so cool. He does the greatest photography podcast called Tips from the Top Floor, tfttf.com. He also does workshops all over the world, and I guess if you're coming to the States, that means you're doing some U.S. workshops.
Well, actually, there are a couple more seats open. If anyone wants to join in either in Washington, D.C. or in San Francisco in August, just go to discoverthetopfloor.com. That has all the information about those.
And then, of course, he does these great expeditions. Like, are you going to do Everest Trek every year? Is this like forever now?
Well, we're planning one for next year, and we're planning one for the year after next year, and then we'll see from there.
You are a glutton for low oxygen.
Kind of, yeah.
But amazing pictures. Can I still go to everestthetrek.com? Is that still?
It's HimalayanWorkshops.com.
HimalayanWorkshops.com now. You know what? All you really have to remember is chrismarquardt.com, or just, even better, go to techguylabs.com. We got a link to all of it. And our assignment, this is how it works. Chris is going to give you a word, like reduction was the word last month. This month, he's going to give you a new idea, a new concept that you need to illustrate. We're not going to tell you what it means. You have to figure that out. Take a picture, and then what you need is a Flickr account. Now, if you have a Yahoo account of any kind, you already have a Flickr account. Or you could just go, it's free, and sign up, FLICKR.com, Flickr without an E.com. And then once you join, you want to go to our special Tech Guy group. So you go to groups and you search for Tech Guy and you'll find it. It's very easy to do. And once you get in our Tech Guy group, you can upload your picture, but do make sure you, whoops, I'm showing the wrong picture. Thank you. There we go. Do make sure you put in the key. What is the key? What is the word we're looking for today?
The word we're looking for this assignment is, well, the opposite of reduction, busy.
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 Okay, so you're going to take a busy photo and upload it to the Tech Guy group with one picture a week, by the way. And Orbit Gal, our moderator there, will welcome you. The rules are right on the front page there. It's the Tech Guy group on Flickr. It's free to do this. Would love to see your pictures. Busy.
And my apologies again for taking so long. Next time,
because you're busy.
Well, yeah, working my way out of that.
We'll see you soon, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us.
Talk to you next week.
ChrisMarquardt.com, of course, TechGuyLabs.com for details on the assignments and where to find Chris, his podcast, his workshops, and all of that. My number, 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., like Chris is, he's from Germany. You could Skype. See how well that worked? Just Skype that toll-free number, and it won't cost you a penny. 8888 Ask Leo. I am, if this works out, by the way, we may have one more Skype call from the new studio next hour with Dick DeBartolo. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Figboard should be set to ID 6.
Where did you find this, Kyle Benham?
Leo Laporte, call for help. May I help you?
That's the theme song from my old TV show, Call for Help, which I haven't done in a few years. I think that went off the air in 2004 when Comcast bought Tech TV and put it out of business, put it out of its misery. Makes me sad to hear that. But it's a wonderful song. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Kyle, I'm glad you found that. That's fun to hear that again. Sharon on the line from Long Beach, California. Thanks for your patience, Sharon.
Hi.
Leo Laporte.
I wanted to ask you about a device I saw on a commercial on TV called the Dragon. Have you heard of it?
The Dragon? What does it do?
Computer into a voice command computer.
Dragon Naturally Speaking they're talking about. It's software. It's good software from Nuance.
Uh-huh.
They may call it the Dragon, but you should it works, but it's not like, it doesn't turn it into HAL 9000 or the computer on Star Trek. If that's what you're looking for. It's not going to talk back to you.
I'm going to get my very first computer next payday, and it would be great if I could get one that just does what I tell it to do.
Yeah, no. That is the dream, of course, Sharon. You would like it. I'm sorry, Sharon. I can't do that. No, the problem is, Sharon. Yeah. the way this works, what it really is for is if you've got a word processor open and if you've got carpal tunnel and you don't like to type or you're not a very good typist, you can kind of dictate the text.
And it doesn't.
But it's pretty close. I would say it gets 9 out of 10 words right. But the negative of that is that means once every 10 words you have to stop and fix it.
Uh-oh.
That doesn't sound 90% accuracy rate, or even 95 doesn't sound bad until you realize that means, well, every 10 or 20 words I got to fix it.
Uh-huh.
And that's about as good as they've gotten. They really aren't perfect. You get trained as much as the computer gets trained because you have to learn to speak precisely and clearly, not necessarily slowly, but you can't slur your speech or that because the computer has a hard time understanding, frankly. So I wouldn't rush out and get Dragon. Now let me ask you, because I think I might want to tell you not to get a computer, Sharon, and instead get an iPad. Have you thought about that?
No.
What do you want to do with your computer?
Well, it's hard to communicate with the world.
You want to do email. You're right. Of course. You can't surf. You know, somebody says, hey, come to our website. You can't.
Right.
I think for a lot of people, a computer is more complex than they need. You're telling me by saying I want to talk to my computer. What you're really saying is, please, can I have something that I can understand, that's easy to use, that understands me and does what I want it to do?
Uh-huh.
Well, good. I agree. That's exactly what you deserve. It ain't what you're going to get if you go out and buy a Windows PC. It's a lot of work. Unfortunately, the computer industry has sold us a bill of goods. They've said, oh, no, anybody could use a computer. It's easy. Yeah, and anybody can play a Tchaikovsky piano concerto just when they sit down at the piano. It's not easy. You have to spend some time learning it. Things go wrong, and then you're at sea. On the other hand, an iPad is very straightforward. It's inexpensive, not hard to use. If you get one that has 3G in it, which is about $629, then you're always online everywhere you go, and you don't have to buy internet access at home. Save you some money. Yeah. And you get email, you get surfing, you get all the things you want to do, and it's much simpler. Now, it's not great for typing novels. If what you want to do is write a novel or edit video or, but you're not going to write a novel, right? You just want to send out short emails.
Right.
I think an iPad is the right answer for you.
All right, I'll check those.
It'll save you some money, too. And do me a favor, look at them at least before you buy a computer.
Right, I will.
Sometimes you'll get geeks, people like me, who say, oh, no, you need a full computer, and iPad is not a real computer. You can't do everything you need to do with an iPad. Don't listen to those geeks, because, they're like the guy who already knows how to play the Tchaikovsky piano concerto. And it's come so naturally to them, they don't realize how hard it is for normal people.
Right.
And I think an iPad is a great first computer. It's a computer. Don't think it's not a computer. It's just simpler. There's no security issues. You can't talk to it. Actually, they have Dragon on it, so you can't dictate to it. But it's not really, you can't talk to a real computer either. It would be nice if you said, computer, turn on. Yes. Please write a letter for me. Yes. Send it to my mom. Yes. No, they don't do that. They don't do
Maybe someday they'll have all that.
Someday, HAL 9000. But you know what happened in 2001? He stranded the guys. He killed them. I don't know. Do you really want a computer that smart? I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that. Bye-bye, Dave. It's been nice working with you. I'm not sure we really want that. Julian is in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Julian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. First of all, congratulations on getting your ticket. That's awesome.
Oh, I'm a ham! Yeah. Officially. I'm so excited. I got my first radio. It's a Kenwood Handy Talkie. Now I just have to figure out what the heck to do with it.
Oh, yeah. That's the fun part.
It's funny because I've been a tech guy for 20 years, digital technology, understand it well. Radio guy for 35 years. This ham stuff's the most complicated thing I've ever seen. You really have to get a mentor and spend a lot of time learning and working. Getting the license is the easy part.
Yes.
What's your call sign?
N1CA.
Nice to meet you, N1CA.
Cool.
N1CA? Yes. Where is that from?
That's actually in the New England region, but I got that as a vanity call sign.
I was going to say, I've never heard that one before. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Well, what can I do for you, Julian?
Okay, I had a question about MVNOs.
Yes. Mobile virtual network operators.
Yes. I've been looking at options currently with T-Mobile, and I'm not happy with some of the latest things they've been doing. In my opinion, taking a few steps back. Now, when you change your plans, they want you to sign a contract. Where before, really cool about that. Trying to be AT&T.
So the idea of an MVNO is they're resellers of mobile connectivity. So they go to AT&T or Verizon, sometimes Sprint, and they say, we're going to make a deal with you, and then we're going to rebrand it. Walt Disney is an MVNO. Virgin Mobile, an MVNO. Boost, a lot of these, I think Boost is an MVNO. A lot of these guys resell services from other cell companies. But you deal with them instead of Sprint, AT&T, or Verizon, and a lot of times they're nicer and easier to deal with. You have one in mind?
I'm looking at several, but my main question about that is that I've heard one of the drawbacks to an MVNO is that if you're a customer of theirs, that you don't get the same priority on the network, and I'm wondering if there's any truth to that.
I don't know. That's a good question. For data, you mean? That may be the case.
Data, for phone calling, etc. I know that you don't get all the features, for example, like conference calling, three-way calling, that sort of thing. Some of them won't give you things like that.
Yeah, and that's not their fault. They'd love to give you that, but that's probably their deal with Sprint. Sprint says, well, we're not going to let you undercut us in price and offer the same features.
Right.
I don't know. That's a great question. I've not heard that MVNOs might not have the same access to the network as the parent network. I would guess it's similar, but I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat room can help me with that. Virgin and Boost are now almost entirely owned by Sprint.
Yeah.
So they're MVNOs in name only. Let me do some research, Julian. We'll talk about it when we come back. How about that? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's the last hour of the Tech Guy Show from the old Tech Guy Labs. We're going to shut her down 60 minutes from now and make the move down the street to the new Tech Guy Labs, the new Brick House Studios. They are beautiful. And they are ready, and they are waiting. We've got a big ribbon across the door, giant pair of scissors, and I'm ready to cut that ribbon. Meanwhile, I'm here to help. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to talk about digital technologies, that's what I do. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. And that's not, by the way, nothing's going to change from your point of view. The website's still techguylabs.com. The phone number's still 8888 Ask Leo. We'll still be on the same great radio stations all across this great land of ours. I'll even sound the same. And I'll still be sitting on a ball. In fact, this desk and this microphone are coming with me. So really, not much is going to change. One of the things that's fun, though, we are building an AM radio corner. You know, I recently, as we were talking about last hour, I recently got my my ham license. I became an official ham. And, in fact, we were talking to Julian about it. And so we're setting up a ham shack there with the help of my Elmers. That's what they... I thought it was elders, but it's Elmers. That's what they call the senior hams who help out the newbies like me. There's a whole structure around this, which is great. We need this in the computer world. So I have a couple of Elmers who happen to be very well-known hams. Bob Heil, the guy who makes my microphones, K9EID, and Gordo, a very well-known ham, Gordon West, who teaches. He's taught thousands of people how to become hams at w5yi.org. That's where you can get all his materials. And he is he's a, what is he, WB6NOA. So Gordo and Bob are helping me set up a beautiful ham shack. We're going to put antennas on the roof of the new Brick House Labs. But then Bob said, you know, I know this guy Mike Doro. He's very well known. He makes meters, very, very, very well-known, beautiful meters that are used in recording studios, ham shacks, all over the world. Very accurate meters. I'm going to get some of these great Doro meters. I can't wait. But his hobby is collecting AM radio gear. He goes around the country as stations upgrade or shut down and says, yeah, you're going to use that old transmitter? And they say, no, you take it off our hands? Yes, I'd like to. So I've arranged with Mike Doro to get a classic. It looks like it's about a 1962 AM transmitter, a Collins. Beautiful. Big window in the front where you could see these giant tubes that glow. The filaments glow as the transmitter's on. And then an old AM console from the 60s. And I'm looking for turntables, tape decks. We're going to make an old radio station in there. Now, of course, I don't have an FCC license to broadcast radio. I only have an amateur radio license, so it'll be an amateur set. But it should be fun. I'm calling it Radio Corner. It's a little bit of a museum of analog radio broadcasting over there. That's going to be fun. Anyway, we were talking to Julian about MVNOs, mobile network virtual operators. They're people who basically resell cell service. Nobody has said anything to me in the chat room, and I don't have any information about whether MVNOs give you a lower priority on the cell network. I would bet FCC rules do not allow that. I would bet you're protected as a consumer from that. And if they did that, they would have to print that in pretty big letters.
Well, it's hard to say. You know, the companies have managed to change the definition of the word unlimited.
No kidding. I mean, I don't blame you for not trusting wireless companies. These guys are the most predatory companies out there today. They've inherited all of the bad habits of the AT&T monopoly. Yeah,
they're basically the AT&T of this era.
Yeah. There may be limited roaming because you're not guaranteed roaming agreements with other carriers, so that's possible. An MVNO might not be a good choice if you move around the country a lot.
Uh-huh.
But if you're in the same area and they've got good coverage where you are, you can save a lot of money with an MVNO. It's kind of like the off-brand. It's like going and buying a generic in the grocery store. Often, a generic is exactly the same product as made in the same factory as the brand name. And I think that's the case with MVNOs. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Who are you considering?
One of them I was looking at, although I read some things that weren't so favorable, was the one that uses T-Mobile. I think it's called My Simple Wireless.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Or Simple Mobile or something like that. They seem to have a pretty good deal.
I think the net is your friend in this case. Reading reviews from other people is really that's where the internet just shines. We no longer have to be. In the old days, a consumer was on his own. And you just had to do the best you could. But nowadays, we're all together. It's a very much of a changed landscape for companies that don't give you good service. The world finds out. People tweet about it, they blog about it, they review it on forums. All you have to do is Google a company, and you'll find every single disgruntled customer there is. I like T-Mobile. I use T-Mobile, actually. And so I think if T-Mobile works well where you are, it's often a good choice because it's not the high price spread. Now, there's going to be an issue because AT&T is acquiring T-Mobile, and it looks like AT&T has sewn up Congress. AT&T doubled its lobbying efforts last quarter, doubling the amount of money they spent on lobbying, millions of dollars on lobbying to get this deal through because, of course, it is a monopolistic deal. It takes us from 4 cell phone companies down to 3, and one of them's pretty weak, Sprint. It really gives us 2 big, let's face it, duopolies. So I'm not a fan at all of the T-Mobile acquisition, and it probably certainly will affect this MVNO deal, right?
I would imagine it would.
I mean, it's probably a year before this happens, but something to consider.
One of the reasons why I'm not really thrilled about the possibility of signing a contract with T-Mobile because I would imagine that I'll be beholden to AT&T, and I left AT&T to go to T-Mobile because I hated.
Yeah, I love T-Mobile. I'm devastated. T-Mobile is great because nobody uses it.
I know. It works really nice. Especially here in California, the audio on it is just superb.
Great. And the data, I never have a problem with data because unlike the iPhone, which everybody on AT&T is sucking so much data because of the iPhone, you can never use it.
Yeah, I'm using the iPhone on T-Mobile, and it works great.
And I love a company, and I think that this is really this is where losing T-Mobile is going to hurt you. If we only have 2 or 2.5 wireless companies, You think we're going to change this contract situation, this 2-year contract, the early termination fees? You think we're going to get the SMS text messaging costs down to a reasonable amount? No. And so I think these MVNOs and T-Mobile and having some diversity in the marketplace is great. MVNOs for generally don't require a contract. They're usually month to month. I feel really bad about this. I don't know enough about this company to tell you yes or no on it. The good news is it is month to month, right?
Yes.
So at least if it stinks, you can move on.
Yeah.
And I think we should all go to fightthemerger.com and let our members of Congress know that we don't think this is a good idea, that we do need choice in cell phone companies.
I agree. I'll be visiting that site.
Thanks, Julian. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's.
All right.
Well, I just saw the number. It's an appalling number. The amount of money that AT&T spends lobbying members of Congress, they spent 58% more in the second quarter. Why do you think? Because they want this deal to go through. $4.9 million on lobbyists in 3 months. It's amazing. It's sad. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. I'm not sure up now.
So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And we're saying goodbye to the Tech Guy Labs. 40 minutes from now, the countdown to the brick house. 8888 Ask Leo, though. We're still, I don't want to make too big a deal about this because it isn't going to seem like a change to anybody listening at home. It's just to me that it's a change. So I won't be too selfish about this. Angie on the line from Pomona, California. Hi, Angie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome to the show.
Well, my husband is finally going to let me get the high-speed internet. We've been on that dial-up for like years.
Well, it's about time the husband gave you a break.
So I got me a new computer, a little notebook. So I went to a DSL Extreme, and they said that I needed a promo code. Well, I've been listening for 2 days.
You don't need a promo code. Just tell them I heard it on Leo. There's no promo code.
I mean, I'm like, okay, Leo, give me the promo code. I don't hear no promo code.
There's no promo code. I don't know what they're talking about. I have to say it's unfortunate. DSL Extreme offshored their support to the Philippines.
Oh, is that where I'm calling?
Yeah, and I don't know where they got these guys, but they don't seem to know anything.
Well, she said that I needed a promo code so I can get the second month free. And that
I don't know what they're talking about. This breaks my heart because this used to be a great company. I have to say, they still. I mean, the service, the product is great, but Angie, would you send me an email and I will make sure